Now, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the next Industry 5.0 Wasteless World Talks. Today with Kevin and Bill again. And it's new information for Bill and Kevin that the last episode about future was the most viewed episode in the history. So maybe we will beat it today because the topic today, the term, it's you. Y-O-U. And because I have Kevin on the top of the screen, Kevin, I will start today with you. If you close your eyes and I say you, what do you see first?
I have a really simple answer to a really simple word. It's everybody but me.
Okay. Bill, it's hard to beat, but what do you see?
Rather than seeing something, I feel something, and I feel a flow of energy outward. And the second thought that I have is it's the opposite of me.
Which is quite interesting because we discussed me 2 weeks ago. And what is interesting, if I do remember, I did not watch a game, but I don't think that we touched you during this event. But today, already in the first sentence, we touched me. And in the noon discussion, it was quite interesting because you was like pointing the finger to someone. It was something that's, and we came to the conclusion that it shouldn't be you, it should be we instead. So together, instead of only someone being responsible, so it should be us or we. And we have a quite interesting discussion because we have there Gao from Botswana, Charito from Philippines, and we go into the language. So how does it sound? I and me and you and so on. We in Czech language, for example, these words are not connected. There is no connection between these words. So it's quite interesting.
I was thinking of a quote. I only know the altered quote, which is from a band called Prodigy. They had a record out, always outnumbered, never outgunned. And I think it came from an American general who said, always outnumbered, always outgunned. But it reminds me that there's always more of you than there is of me. And the interesting thing is, there more of you than us?
We have one joke here in very old times when jokes has been permitted at the time. There was a white guy, let's say, white child walking on the street, and there has been not black guys, but we have Romas. So I don't know if this term is in English.
Gypsies.
Gypsies.
Zigeuner, gypsies. And they asked him, how old are you? He said, 13. And they said, we as well. I don't know if I translated it correctly, but it created this disbalance from 1 against 13. So you can fight. It's hard to translate jokes. So, but it was very interesting because, as I said, in the discussion, we touch up to the unity. And the U was not unity. It was like, in some way, like using it against something or someone, like giving the responsibility to someone. You know, the giants, they say all the time, you are responsible. It's not us, you. You should clear, you should save the planet, you should make the climate clear and whatever. They never say us.
I saw an interesting thing. talking about the giants and, in this case, politicians. The fact that most politicians, they say that the market should decide and what the giants should decide. And in this case, politicians said, you must drive battery-powered cars. And the interesting thing is that the giants followed, but the markets don't. So there is no future of battery-powered cars because people just don't want to buy them. And it will be interesting to see how that rebalances itself, because the politicians can say all they want, but they can't, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And in this case, none of us want to drink battery-powered cars.
And I think in connection with the latest development in the US, where President Biden includes the duty to 100% for the car itself, 25% to batteries. The European are going to decide in June, if I'm not wrong, I think in European Commission, and it's expected to be similar. The issue is that the harbors are full of the Chinese cars already. What will be that? And the fact is that the majority, so the Nordic countries, the majority of the countries, Norway and I think even Sweden, not sure about Denmark, they really step into the purchasing of the electric cars with big quantities, but there has been quite a big subsidies related to purchase of this car. After they immediately stopped the sales. In Germany, exactly the same, I think all the countries. In our countries, the subsidies for electric cars are for 3 months. Still, it did not help. And it seems like they will be ended without any big change on the market.
I don't think we have the answer for the cars yet. The electric cars have so much not good about them, the batteries and so on. But they've developed at least two other methods of propulsion for cars. One is hydrogen, and that should be those should be on the streets almost any day now. They've been working on them for a long time. But I think that it just changing so quickly. There are so many good possibilities, and they should be quicker to market now with AI, because they can go through the list of possible problems, supply chain questions, and so on, much more quickly than in the past. But I don't think that it has settled down yet, and I suspect that the method of propulsion, we haven't even talked about the one that's going to win out. But it's not electric cars. I would agree with that.
I think that generally it's not about engine, and we discussed it several times before. It's about the understanding how the car is being used. If there is a car for a city which do maximum 20 kilometers per day, why not electric? That's not a problem. Even and it should be small. But if I do every day 150, it has very little sense to have an electric car, or 200 or 300, I don't know, it doesn't matter. So the other engine is fine. But because there is a push of one side of the market, which is electric, this created this balance. And it's not created to support the environment. It has nothing to do with an environment. It generally just generates more money if you push people to buy them. If you say there will be no the other combustion engines after 2025. So what will the people do? They have to buy the car if they would like to be mobile. And these threats has been spread from the politician all across the globe generally. European Commission especially is really specialist for this. But on the other hand, if you look at China, on the number of adopted electric cars and buses and trains and whatever, it is possible to do. But in China, it is connected very strongly with the communist way of leading the people. They say the order and the people follow because they live in a fear not to follow, because it can be quite serious. So it's just a good example. Thank you for giving.
And that's exactly what the European Commission have done. They've said, you must do what we say. And then this is the difference between you and I, is that everyone said, I'm not doing it.
We've touched now twice on something about you that and that is, you talked about cars. They have to be small. Well, in America, we don't buy small cars. In fact, we buy bigger and bigger, and so many, for example, pickup trucks. Do you know what pickup trucks are,
Yeah,
right?
we have
And they're bigger and bigger. And in fact, we allow something here that they don't allow in Europe, and that is the front of the pickup truck is there is a limit to the front of the pickup truck so that the driver can see someone crossing in the crosswalks and not hit them, right? We don't have that restriction here. So they're getting bigger and bigger. And it's so funny when you see a little person who's a driver get out of that car. But there's one study that looked at how high the front of pickup trucks is getting, and they said that you can fit 11 school children of grade 3 and below. 11 school children in front of that truck that the driver cannot see. That's how much space. So we're getting bigger. And 10 or 20 years ago, 75% of the cars sold in America were sedans. And now 75% are SUVs or pickup trucks, just getting bigger. So the size means something else too. It goes right back to that word "you," because a lot of the cars are bought to intimidate people. I am bigger, I am noisier, you're gonna hear me and see me when I'm there. I'm not gonna drive a little dainty car. I'm gonna drive a pickup truck. And they even, they put flags on them and they take the mufflers off of them. It's all meant to intimidate you. So there's a real ego and power move that's going on in several different ways. So and that's what I thought about when you said the word "you." It's meant to intimidate you.
Just before we started, there was on German server, there was about new Chinese SUV, 3.4 tons, really the American style. And they have even in the door, there is a place for your gun, a pocket for your gun.
See, why is that? Why is that we have to build a place for? I'd never heard that. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I can
Now,
send you, but I'm not sure if the news was in English. It's in German, I'm sure, but you can translate.
I'd not heard that, but I believe it. And that's not such a revolutionary concept either, because in America, out in the country, in the rural areas, it's quite frequent when I was growing up that people would drive a pickup truck and there would be a gun rack for your deer hunting rifle right behind the driver, right? Right by the window back there. So we're used to carrying guns in our trucks, but see, and is that a power move also? Does that go me intimidating you? Is that what that's for? I mean, deep down in people's psyche, is that a power move?
Yeah, I remember Robin Williams, he made a great joke once that you never see a gun rack at a Volvo.
Good joke. I like that.
But I remember being in the first time I went to the US, I went to San Francisco, and there were some people begging on the street. You see the beggars in London, and they say, give me money for a cup of tea. And in San Francisco, this guy had a sign saying, give me money for a pickup truck, which I thought was really ambitious. So I said, why'd you write that? And he said, well, if I buy a pickup truck, I will have a business. I have a business, I'm no longer living on the street. And it was a totally different scale of ambition and drive, which I was really impressed.
I think that the U is used two ways. One is the pressure, but the second, as you describe, is something, it will be me who will be bigger and stronger and with a gun and so on. So it's, I don't know the English words, it's, and let's say encouraging is the closest word which I will use, the people to buy it, to feel better, because it will be them. Everybody will say it's you who is the biggest, who has the biggest one. So it can be used both ways. And this is why I generally like the noon discussion where it immediately switched to we. So from pointing out to understanding, because we are meeting really there has been people from all continents, and it was quite interesting and impressive how we unite. So it depends on the group. It depends on the audience. And of course, the giants use it the way they need it. They don't use it. They will never use it the way the people need it. No, why should they? So they are the giants. The great part about it is that the giants will, generally, they cannot unite. They will all the time fight between each other. But the humans can unite. That's the difference. And it's quite interesting to watch, as you said, Kevin, the European people say simply, no. How the government can push us to buy a car? It's my money. It depends on myself where I spend it. And I do not want to spend it on an electric car. Why? The reasoning is a different thing, but why should I? That was the answer.
And the interesting thing is the government can say you, but you get more than one person together, and then it's we. And then as soon as we're no longer a you, but a we become very much more powerful. And so we must, we're all individuals, but together as a group, we have power to fight the giants and the governments.
Why do you think the giants cannot unite?
Because they do not want to. One giant all the time want to be bigger than the other one. If the one get weaker, the other does not help him. It beats him down to get his fortune. This is how they work. So they are not uniting. They look like being united if you see some corporations or some of these associations or whatever. But if you are inside, you will realize that every single one plays just for himself. And look for the weakness of the other to use it, kill it, get it, and be bigger. So this is why I don't think they are willing to unite. They can, but they do not want to.
And I suspect that there's, in addition to that rational choice, as you just presented, there also is they don't trust each other because they know this is like a narcissist. They know their darkest fears and their dark and how bad they know that, and they project that on others like them. So they do not trust them. So what we always the only thing we need to do, it's so simple. We just need to get people together.
Yes.
Because we want to be united.
And the great part, you don't need money to do so. We are being, let's say, persuaded that money is needed to deliver the change. No, that's not true. We just need to unite. That's all.
Yeah.
We don't even need to travel or to be like Greta. Just recently, she was again is in a jail or whatever. She changed her fate into being jailed, because being jailed for her is the only time when she's on media, and she gets used to be on media. So when you look at all the photographs recent where she's jailed, she's smiling. You know, you can read it. I enjoy it. It's a sad story, but it is.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but that makes her very much like Donald Trump. They both enjoy being victims.
Hmm? I don't know if you have heard, but a few minutes ago, they have shot the Slovak president, not Czech, but Slovak president. He survived. So 4 shots. He is in a hospital. It's very fresh news. So a few minutes ago before we started. I don't know what happened. So there is no a lot of information, just 4 shots. He is in a hospital and he is not in danger of in a life danger, or how it's called. So, and the first thought which I had, because he is a little controversial, not like Donald Trump or so, the first thought which I had, great story. That was the first. I was not feeling sorry. I just say great story, because if there will be someone hired to shoot him, not dangerously, but shoot him, he will be the hero. You know, he will be there for the nation and so on. But unfortunately, this is what is happening right now. We are creating heroes. I have a great story for you, because I met on Sunday one of these talks about nothing. And there was a 60 years young photographer. And he photographed black and white photographs. And he used a very special way, the AI. He made the photograph, then he uploaded to Flickr to get the feedback from other photographers. If the photograph is good, he used it, and he asked the AI to add something, whatever, something. It changed a little bit, and then he made a big size print, and with his finger he put colors on, not the original one, not tree is green, and so just colors. So he showed me on Sunday great way how to use AI, a very different way than it was presented or it was intended to be used. And just yesterday, I think you have probably heard about it, was introduced or released GPT 4.0 or 4.0, I don't know how to read it. And it should already have feelings or respond like a human will respond. So emotions should be there. It's right now a lot of talks about this, and you can try, and it's for free and whatever. I will not try, so it's just my decision. But a lot of people are surprised right now, and you see a lot of adverts. And again, they say you should try.
Everyone I interact with has emotion. I don't need an artificial program to find emotions.
That was one of the topics. I said, okay, will you say you to your AI? Will you call it you? Will it become part of a society? And all the answers are no. One of the answers by Gao, who is from Botswana, a young guy, he said, only God's creations can be part of the society. In some way, he means humans, animals, whatever. So, but nothing, they call it human-made, should become the part of the society. But just before we started, I prepare the next part of the newsletter. And in Denmark, University of Aarhus, I don't know whether I read it correctly, they will have a conference, and it's robo-philosophy. I am not
Please tell us, what is that?
not joking. And I sent you a few days ago, I sent you this Philo, whatever, this movement. Surprise. And they speak about Industry 5.0. The same do in Aarhus, you know. But will be interesting, Kevin, if I will send you both the link, and maybe it will be possible for you to somehow be the celebrity guest or whatever, just to be there and see and talk. You know, it will be very interesting. Robo philosophy.
Amazing. You know, there is one you, and this is where the English language falls down a little bit. In German and Danish, maybe it's the same in Czech, and I think it's also the same in Russian. There is more than one form of you. You can have an informal you or a formal you. You can have a you for officials, a you for friends. I think that the English language is really missing by not having the same thing.
Yes, agreed.
And we have it different for you as a one person and you as a group of person. There are two words. But in English, there is you. You will not recognize whether you speak to 1 or to 100.
No.
And the same was in the other languages. So in Philippines was the same. She said, Charito says they have many dialects and so on. And in Botswana, exactly the same. There was one part of the words has been the same. It was the Ra, R-A, I think. But the rest was different. The same as here. So
there was one thing, I don't know how prevalent it is, Bill, but when you see people from Texas talking, and they still refer, if they're talking to a woman, they still say ma'am. I think that's so stylish. It's really, really, really a nice form of respect.
I say ma'am. And the odd thing is that people, especially younger people, address me as sir. I have to look behind me to see if my dad's standing there, right? But I feel very uncomfortable with sir, except that I know that it's a term of respect. It's like saying I know that you're older and more experienced than I am, so I'm going to show you some respect. The ma'am thing is just something I learned when I was a kid.
Yeah. But it is respectful. It really is.
On the other hand, don't go to India because everybody call you sir. And what is interesting, they call even the children between themselves call sir and ma'am. Automatically, Mr. Rada, sir. Automatically, it came. I asked them politely not to do so, that I do not feel well. They cannot switch it off. It is so included in the language, they are simply not able to switch it off. And what was interesting, they speak to on a conference to friends, and they call them still sir or ma'am, which is even more confusing.
In America, especially down south and rural, when I am speaking, say I've been introduced to somebody, they'll call me Mr. Bill, not Mr. McClain, Mr. Bill. So Mr. Bill, you know, and that also is a term of respect. But we don't do it. We don't do it up in New York.
And this is generally what was just described by Kevin. We use a different way to speak to the other. So, and you immediately recognize without having the sir or madam, you immediately recognize from the way how you are speaking. If I will say it in Czech, it will not be, so if I speak to you as a friend, I will use ty, I will say ty. But if I speak to you as someone of age or whatever, so someone higher, or I would like to pay you whatever, I say vy. This is you, why, and it's completely different. So it's the way, and in German they have it the same. In Russian as well, not sure anymore, but I think they have I think the Slovenian languages will be similar.
Yeah,
And
French. It's the same in French, and my wife will oftentimes talk about a friend who still calls her a formal you rather than an informal you. So I know that it's in Russian as well.
I have this, I will not call it problem, but in my family, it was the formal way was standard. I have a business partner for 20 years, and we call ourselves the formal way. We do not use surnames, we use names, which is what the US brings to us generally, but still the formal way, which is for many very, very unusual, because if you do not accept the informal way, they look at you as a renegade or whatever, because you have to drink with me and so on. And I said, I don't drink, and sorry, I will not speak this way with you. I would like to pay you respect with the way how I'm speaking with you. And time to time, it's quite for the people, they get even angry, you know. And I said, sorry, I don't do that. It's the way.
So who do you use the informal you with? Would it be a lover, for example, or
A
one or
family,
two?
close friend. So this is the range, I will say. And if you would like to put shame on someone, so you switch to informal way. You stop speaking the formal way, and you start. If you will read Schweik, which is a famous Czech book from the First World War, generally, it's quite interesting. You will see there, he put it a great way. So it was translated in English for sure, because it's one of the famous books from the time.
Yeah, I have a copy of it. I haven't read it yet, but I have a copy. Yeah. Also in Scandinavia, there is you can be du, which is informal, and friends, and di, which is formal and respectful. Okay, what did the English miss out on here? It's really nice because then it divides up the yous. You know, there's you and there's you, and it's very, very nice to be able to do that.
I like to use it because if you speak the formal way, it's not so easy to say you are stupid. Because you will be very careful to say it sounds bad, at least. So it's a different, really different way how you approach the people. And I think the respect should be paid, no matter how old. I don't divide between age and titles. I don't care. I speak with all the same. And which is sometimes confusing for children, because every or many adults call children the informal way, and I speak them the formal way, which is very, very unusual.
I know that in Germany in the 1920s, if you insulted an official, that was against the law, and you would get a fine for doing it.
Schweik, one part of Schweik is about this generally, because he has to go to war, because he said that on the picture in a pub, on the picture of a not king, on a king, let's say, of the Rakousko-Uhersko, of the country which was there before Germany and Czech Republic. There was one country in the middle of Europe, Ugro-Austrian kingdom generally, so the king of the kingdom. And he said, you have to clean the picture because the flies are shitting on the picture of the king. And there was a policeman, and he jailed him and so on. So this is how the story generally begins. So, because he insulted the king with his words.
But it's interesting how we're talking about not me against you, but our relationship between me and the yous. and how different they can be. So that there must be an infinite number of yous.
Again, it's fascinating. So you calculated last time 500,000 words. We have 79, so have a little bit more to do. But it's really great because, you know, even the title, it will be about you. Firstly, other people about me? No, it's about you. And even explaining that is a part of the story. So it's really, I enjoy it again. We have 3 minutes, 3 minutes something, 3:50 left.
How is that possible? I thought we were just getting started.
And we are, you know, I am trying to get this talk at the second week in July on a big screen. I will be on an event, and I already offered to the organizer that we will have as a live event. You will be on a big screen, and we will have exactly this talk about whatever. So it will be interesting, but not confirmed yet. So they said it's too late. So they would like to finish earlier the day on a conference, you know, which is unusual for us, but okay. So
I have one kind of you.
Sorry.
So I have one kind of you which drives me up the wall, and that is if someone writes and says, "How are you?" with a capital U, then I'm not good.
What about that bothers you, Kevin?
It's actually it's three things. First of all, it appears to be really lazy. Second, it's disrespectful, and the third is that, you know, it can corrupt the language. Why corrupt something which works really well?
It's quite interesting about the capital letter, because this is one way how we decide the formal and informal language in Czech. If you would like to say you in this informal way, you write small v, but if you would like to say you in a formal way, you write a capital letter. There are more rules about this. It's too complicated, so I never learned that, to be honest. Okay, so we are 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes before at the end. I think it was once again interesting discussion, and who knows, maybe we will beat the last week. I will tell you more after the show. But it was quite interesting. I was surprised about on the other hand, we spoke about future. And we do it every time, but that time we name it. And I think naming the topic and then being able to go deeper into it, it's a really key. It's a really key. And as you Bill says, the future is riding on the back of a language, and that's absolutely true.
So let's talk about the future more and create it. That will help to create it.
I am sure we will. So I would like to thank you for your time. And of course, as usual, have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and let us be we. Not sure if it's correct grammatically, but I am sure everybody does understand. Thanks a lot and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.